Welcome to So Guided, a spiritual travel guide for the curious.
Join us as we dive into the mystical, high-vibe ways we can connect to the universe and ourselves. We are trying anything and everything woo-woo. Whatever the result, mind-blowing, unbelievable, or hilarious, we promise to share in truth.
Ready to explore? Suspend disbelief and let's discover the mysterious together.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of So Guided. So we were recently on one of our adventures, and to kick off the day, we went on a labyrinth walk. Now, this was not going to be an episode. We thought this was going to be a quick little jaunt around a circular maze, but the magic and insight we got from the universe blew us away, and we had to share what we learned. So you got questions, so do we. Let's do this.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good. Well, today we're going to be talking about labyrinths and directions and ley lines and land stuff, right?
I guess
it's all
so.
kind of landy, land and air. But before we get started, why don't you share your weekly woo-woo?
All right. Well, happy to report back in action meditating.
Yay!
Back home. I even have people at my house, but I just locked the door and go in my room. It's been awesome, and I feel like my connection to the world has gotten so much stronger again. I thought I lost it permanently, and it's back, and I'm so happy. Well, this week we've had a super full moon, and it's one about action and cycles coming to an end. Additionally, if you are following any astrological news, there's this big thing where Pluto was in Capricorn, and it's retrograding, then it's going back to Aquarius, and it'll never be where it was in our life.
That's cool.
So they're saying all of us should kind of analyze a massive life pattern that you let go of and kind of become a new you.
Okay.
So when the cycle, I put the date on my calendar, November 19th. In any case, this morning I meditated on what I needed to release and what I needed to let go of. And I sat there and I had a really good one where I immediately closed my eyes and I was somewhere else. And that's when I know I'm in the juju, I'm in the flow. And I just had, it's so clear, releasing my imposter syndrome, releasing caring so much what people think and living in my authenticity, which would keep me aligned. It just was so strong and beautiful and clear and clarity. And right when I was done, I stood up and I'm looking outside my window. And in that exact moment, a bald eagle flew up and over my window.
You saw a bald eagle?
And I saw it coming from the distance, and I'm like, so my neighbor had told me when I moved back in, just so you know, there is a nest nearby, and every once in a while, be on the lookout, you'll spot a bald eagle. And I'm like, I'm not that lucky. Right? It's
here.
Very lucky to see one. So I work here, even when we didn't live here. Now I'm home. I've not seen one. I see this big, beautiful, huge wingspan coming at me. And as it gets closer, I'm like, oh my God, is it it? Is it it? Is it it? It is. And it is so beautiful and humbling and magnificent. I just couldn't even get over the feeling. It's a really special moment. And I'm already a bird person, come on. And I knew it meant something. There's no coincidence that it's directly after an impactful meditation. So I Googled bald eagle as a spirit animal, and it was exactly living in your authenticity and letting go of what other people think and being proud of who you are. And it was like the exact meaning that I ended up looking up. And I'm sure there's 50, but the one I found was in support of exactly what I sat there thinking about. And
That's
was
amazing.
And I have to say, just seeing an eagle, you don't need to be woo-woo. A bald eagle felt spiritual anyway. Like it just felt like momentous.
That's amazing. I cannot believe you. And it is so rare to see a bald eagle around here. And I've seen one in my life in Massachusetts.
Yes.
And it was before we had started this woo-woo journey. I was in a very dark place, and you had actually told me before any of this, before the podcast, before we were just started, you're like, oh, go see this psychic. And it was when you told me to go see that woman that was in our town that you love. And I had never gone to her before. And you're like, go see her. And on my way to her, I saw a bald eagle. And I literally walked into her office. It was flying, and then it literally nested right next to her office. It was sitting there, and I'm like, oh my God, I see a bald eagle. And just like what you said, it was so this means something. I'm about to have, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm about to have a reading. I'm connected. There's something, and this is far beyond when we were at the point we are now in our woo-woo journey. And I remember being like, oh my God, and doing the exact same thing, looking up what it meant, because it obviously meant something. And it was like your connection to the universe. The one I read was like your connection, that you're on the right path. And again, I to this day remember seeing an eagle. Like that is like,
it's impactful.
We don't live in Alaska. They're not like they're not like everywhere, you know? Like it's, I feel like there's like one in the whole state.
I know. And I just met him.
That is
so beautiful.
That's such a good woo-woo.
And that was this morning, so I'm feeling particularly in the
I can't believe you haven't, we've been hanging out for a couple hours already, and I feel like the fact that you didn't share that yet, that's amazing. Mine's like pales in comparison, freaking nothing over here. What I will say that my woo-woo is I've been seeing 444 all the time. And we've talked about angel numbers, we've talked about numbers, and I actually have to re-look it up from my remembering, and I didn't look it up, but every time I see it, my intuition is telling me like, change in a good way, shedding the old, getting ready for the new. And the fact that I keep seeing it, and what you just mentioned about the moon is the same message that's coming with the energy. And then I've been seeing it on license plate, every time I look at a clock, on my like text, on my like it is everywhere. And so, and 444 is not something that is like, 1111 is much more common for me to see, but like it was different. So I was like, and I like that it was happening now with, I feel like change in a good way is in the air.
It's so releasing. That's actually so in tune with what we're hearing about the moon cycle and all that jazz. I love it.
Yeah. Oh my God. But an eagle. Gosh.
Have you seen the? I think I sent you the meme. Chris and I are two of those people that also we don't text each other anymore. They're just memes back and forth, back and forth. One of my favorite ones is there's like an actor dude like dancing like all suave and chill, and it's like when everyone else is stressing, but I'm not, because I just saw 222 on the microwave.
It's exactly
totally us.
It's totally
oh, it's gonna be fine. You saw 444.
It's exactly it. So, oh my God, I'm gonna revel in your eagle. So we'll just we can jump right in to Labyrinths. And I'm sure many of you guys have seen them, might not even know that's what they're called, or you probably do. They are basically a circular path that has a point in the middle. And like you're going around the circle, and they're used to meditate, they're used to connect, and they're used for basically like thinking and getting to a center point to be like contemplative. And I've seen them like in like little parks, like there's like sometimes at shopping plazas they build them. They're literally everywhere, but when you learn about them, they're actually been around for like 3,000 years. And they've always been used to basically like connect spiritually and connect with the earth. So Jenny and I actually took like I wouldn't call it a class, but we actually went on like a guided labyrinth.
A guided labyrinth, that's accurate. Yeah.
I would say we did like a guided labyrinth like tour. And within this, I feel like we learned more about a labyrinth than we ever had. And now it's much more impactful than just like literally there's one like in New Hampshire that's in a, like I said, in a parking plaza, like in like a shopping plaza.
Totally.
And you can do it. And
I did it with you.
Yeah, we've done it. It's like in a, like, so like they're more common than you think, but when you realize that they have such like a history and a backstory and like what they're used for, like for the spiritual connection, they're much cooler.
You could actually layer it in. So I think at baseline, fun, right?
Yeah.
Like you see kids find them in the parks more than adults, and they just go through it, and it's like they innately know how to do it. And then I've gone through with the kids and walked through it with them. But now that we've gone on our guided one, and it was with someone who was a spiritual leader, so we'll dive into that. But we weren't excited to do it. We're like, yeah, whatever, we'll do it. Cross this one off the list. And it had such rich layer that the rest of my life, when I find one, what we really learned just as the starter is that you need an intention.
Yes.
And when you set an intention and meditate on it, the center becomes way more valuable in a place where you're going to center and firm up that intention, release it, and then you go back out. So as we were guided through it, it's really kind of cool.
Right. And so how we were guided through this one is she told us to, as we're walking around, ask, who am I and why am I here? So just basically repeating that and not judging whatever comes to your mind. And so a labyrinth is in a circle. So it's different than a maze, where a maze has like dead ends and you're trying to problem solve and you're trying to like fix it. Like this is a direct path to the center. So you are like walking to the center, and like it can be looked at in several different ways, where you're trying to get to the center of yourself, the center of the soul, the connection to the earth. And like many times they're like created on like sacred parts of the land. like the more spiritual ones, like not the one at the shopping plaza, but the ones in like certain areas. Like the most like famous one is the one in France, actually. There's one in like France that's been around for like thousands and thousands of years that's built on like a very spiritual spot. And so as we were walking and like asking this question, like, who am I? Why am I here? When we got to the center, we shared like what came to us. And so it's like, and I think, I can't even remember at this time, like what came to me. Do you remember what came to you at all?
Well, I do, because I have my notes.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah. So
I actually do too.
Right. You're going to find it. So I wrote down the who am I, what's my purpose? And we were supposed to not answer it and let an answer come to us.
Yep.
And the words that kept repeating in my head were to connect, to share, to remember. To connect, to share, to remember. And so as I walked all the way through to the middle, those were the words. And then when we were in the middle, something else she asked us. But what did you get when it said, who am I, what's my purpose?
Healer, teacher, to share. I found how funny we both had to share. That's so, it's so good. And it just came to me. And so once we're in the middle, she said, okay, so you have like your purpose, and we did share it with like the group that we were with. And she went on this next part of it, which was really interesting. And she shared with us the directions and how the 4 directions, north, east, south, and west, all have impact because those represent the 4 elements of the universe. And as she's sharing this, she said basically like go inside, intuitively think about what's resonating with you the most. Like which of these directions is like calling your name. And she explained them first. And so north is the first direction, and this represents like wind and air. And so we faced the north, and she basically shared how like the air brings about the calls of our ancestors. Like every prayer your ancestor have ever said lives in the air, and you can access this. This is like where magic lives. It's where like the thoughts and our words like create
something,
and that like what you say basically forms, and that is for good and bad. And so like if people are speaking black magic or spells, or like you're being negative about yourself, all of that is out in the north with the air. And also is the love and the wind, and again it carries those blessings and prayers.
The story of our ancestors, and she called it the wind song, which was the positive word I liked about it. Yep.
So that's the north, and that's like represents the wind. Next is the east, and this is the element of like the sun and like fire, because the sun obviously rises in the east. This is where God is so infinite, and I thought this was really cool. She said God is so infinite that basically through the sun is how life and God comes through. Because it's so infinite, it has to be funneled through something, because it's so vast and so infinite. As humans, we would never be able to access it. And so all of that love, all of that infinite wisdom is funneled through the sun. And that's where we get like how plants know how to grow. That's how we get like how, that like a fish knows to swim, is like through that knowledge that is funneled through the sun.
That was one of the ones that resonated like and stuck with me. Never thought about the sun like that.
Me either.
Like it's the portal of our connection. And it actually just in a physical level made me think about, when you're on the beach, it's a beautiful day and the sun's shining, and you almost get the shivers of like a good shiver down your spine of like, and almost a feeling of oneness or home. That feeling when you're in the best sunny day and you close your eyes. And I thought that resonates with me as that moment. That is when we are one with like the sun and the universe.
Yes.
And we don't normally connect to the sun. And you and I both left this being like, this makes me feel so, because we're moon people.
We are moon people.
And like I left that being like, okay, sun. Okay, I hear you. I see you.
I agree.
It connected me to the sun in a way I used to feel connected to just the moon.
1,000,000%.
Yeah, loved it.
And so the sun gives us life. And I had such an aha moment after that I then, a couple days later, like for the first time ever, was pulling an oracle card and pulled the sun.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is speaking to me. Because for and not like I take the sun for granted, but you do. Like you're like, the moon has magic, the moon energy. But like the sun is literally filtering life. And like that, we are so connected. The sun, it has like the masculine energy, the moon has the feminine energy, and that's how they work together. And it was the way she presented it to me. I hope we're doing it justice, because it really, like, it was such an aha moment that I've never thought of. Like, that is how the universe funnels its magic, is through the sun. So that's the east. The sun rises in the east. South is the element of the earth. And this is where Mother Gaia, the trees, life, we are one. We are all interconnected on this earth. Like, this is our home. And this is like where if you are potentially feeling like stuck, like she said, face south. Like if you're feeling like stuck or like not like feeling able to like move forward, you could stagnant. Stagnant. You feel drawn to the south where the earth is, like where there's actual life and connection and chi, like fresh flowing chi, which is like, that universal energy within all of us that brings about life and living. So that's south. The last direction is west, and this element is water. And so this really represents emotions, intuition. Obviously, the majority of our body is made of water. So water flowing freely inside of us, water giving life. This could be associated with like grief and sadness in the negative way, where like the water can actually change within your body when you're in different emotions. If you need to like move out of something, or you need to feel like happy, or you're trying to bring joy, like changing the like the elements of the water within you by facing the west and like connecting with the water element. Yeah. Did you have anything on that one?
No, I just thought what was really cool, like we said, is the way it was presented in the good and the positive. What I liked about it is I've heard the elements before, but I hadn't heard their negative connotation, which is excellent tool in life. So like, okay, I'm stagnant, and that's why I need to work through this. So I actually liked hearing, okay, it's not just I'm water, deep emotion, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Intuitive.
It's so that was another like hit for me with that it stuck with me, was like, oh, I could work with the elements because it's also where you're stuck.
I love that. Yep.
Yeah. And then that's what we worked on next.
Yes.
Right?
Right. So basically what she said is like, okay, like which element are you drawn to right now?
And we had to go stand in north, south, east,
west. We had to stand north. I was drawn to the sun. And I had never been, like I said, I had never been drawn to that sun and drawn to that life and wanting to move forward. Which one did you pick?
Mine was wind, which also the air one, the air wind north. Yep. And as soon as I heard the elements, I'm a water sign and I'm a water person.
Intuition,
and I was like,
always like water.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm obviously going to that. And it was like one of those fun, like intuitive moments where like my body went to the north, didn't let me pick what I wanted to. Like, it overrode my ego's choice, which would have been water. Like, I'm water. And it was perfect because I was actually working through a fight I had gotten into where my Scorpio tongue, my sharp tongue, it was one of those rare things when you walk away from a moment and you were wrong.
Yep.
And I said words I didn't mean, and my fight was with words. And so this really resonated. The negative version of it was that my words had impact.
Yep.
And they're left in the world. And I knew that I needed to resolve what I had put out in the air, that I couldn't take it away. And that that impacted me really strong. Our words have so much meaning, and your negative words have meaning.
Right. Yeah. Right. That resonated with me so much too. And I've actually sometimes said things that I don't mean and have felt like awful afterwards. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I put that out in the world. And those bad negative things that come out of your mouth are casting a spell. So being much more cognizant of the words that come out and how they have the energy around you. And I remember a meditation or a prayer where it was basically I take back and I basically transmute any of the negative words that have come out of my mouth. I transmute them into the earth to become positive energy, and I bring back the positive, and I erase it with positive thoughts and words. And so I had read that one time that if you do have something like that and you really feel bad, obviously you can talk to the person if you said something to somebody, but I thought that was interesting that you can basically counteract it. Ooh, which is kind of cool.
I want that prayer.
I know. I'll find it.
Do you know what I needed? At that particular day, I needed it for the words I spoke to somebody. But I need that for me. I feel like my biggest problem is in dimming light, the words I use to degrade myself. If someone gives me a compliment, I'll flip it on the negative side and be like, well, that's because I ate too much, or no, I don't know what I mean. The negative self-talk is as important as what you say to other people. I need that prayer for the way that I talk shit about myself.
I know, me too. Me too. I do. Right? I do. I've even been told that by therapists and stuff where I don't even realize it. It's so in tune in myself that when I speak it out loud and share it, someone's like, oh, that's not nice or normal to be saying that to yourself, or to be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I'm so dumb for doing that. And just those things that come out. Totally. And you see it when other people do it. My mom will sometimes be like, oh, I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have done that. And she says it as such a not necessarily meaning to put herself down, but when I hear something like, Mom, stop saying that. Like, why are you calling yourself stupid?
Right.
But she doesn't even think about it because it's so innate in her self-talk. And I feel like when I've like explored myself, I found some of that stuff too, where it's like, it is so impactful. And I think that, again, really resonated with us both, where we had never heard that like words and the talk like can really like impact. It was super interesting and super cool.
So bring me back to you. So you said you went to Sun, and that's not your normal. What were you working through because I think she even had posed it to us. It wasn't even like what you were drawn to. It was like, what element can help with something that's blocking you in your life right now? I think that was almost how she had posed it, at least in my memory. But that wasn't your take on it. You just went to the Sun because maybe that was what you were needing at that moment.
I think I was drawn to the Sun again. Same, like my intuition took over, and for the first time, I had that aha moment of like how the Sun brings life, and like how like how the infinite world is so big that it must come through here in order to like grow and express and like to like feel and move forward. It was very much like I honestly I don't remember the negative part of it because I was so drawn to like the positive side, and it was something I had never heard before, and it just resonated with me. And so I think that's why I was like pulled to it. Was like I was just pulled, like, this is like what I need. And I remember feeling like the sun on my face at the time too. And I felt like I was feeling life. And you know what it was? I had talked about this. I had been feeling like such anxiety. Remember like leading into like this experience, I was having like a couple like months of like such weird anxiety, higher than I've ever had. Cause normally I'm like pretty like go with the flow, normal amount. And I've been like feeling like pretty like overly worried about, I wasn't surrendered. I was overly worried. And I think like that's like where the sun, it was like life and trust. I think there was a surrender to it, if I remember correctly now. And I think that's what did it. Like I was in a place where I need to surrender. I need to get back to trusting the universe. And I think the sun is what did that. So now that I'm saying it, like that's where it pulled me and why I went with that.
Love it.
And so I had written down, like, while she was talking about we all went to our corners, she was kind of like, okay, I think she had asked us to then like come with like a message from that direction, or like what, like when we were walking out of the labyrinth, we had another like kind of like takeaway, because it's very meditative, it's very spiritual, it's very connection orientated. So while we're in the center, we connected with the direction, and as we were walking out, it was like, what could you do if you were like the golden version of yourself? Do you remember that?
Yeah. How do I become gold?
Yes.
Which this is funny because there's no further explanation on it. And that is quite abstract. Like you could take that 50 billion million ways. And I actually remember when I was walking, you're supposed to be in the mode. I'm like, what's Chris's take on this? I literally have in my notes, what was Chris's take on this?
Yeah.
Like, and what was super funny is we ended up answering it after you went through the long process of leaving. And one of the women on it was a doctor, because we had introduced ourselves a little bit. And she literally said, I like basically she didn't believe in this and she didn't have an answer, and I liked who I am. Yeah. But I think it was something like, how do I become better and become like gold? Or something.
It was like, how am I the gold version of myself? Or like what it, and this woman was like, I'm gold. And I am gold. And it was real. It was, honestly, it was some like real North Black magic. It was not a friendly energy when she said it either. And we were like, I don't feel gold from you, lady. But it was, so we basically were supposed to be thinking about that question as we walked around. And again, it's quiet. We had done a little singing in the center where it was like, return, 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 where we're trying to return to the elements, be connected with the earth, with the universe. And like, basically it's like we were walking in a line and like we were quiet. So everything, like once we were out of the center, no one's speaking, we're all contemplating, we're in a meditative state. And then we got to the outside, and again, it was like, what would we do if we were gold? Did you have an answer to that one? Do you remember?
Yeah. So I took it, I wrote, thank goodness, my notes. I took as being both one with source and embracing our inner light and worth. Like for me, that's what the gold meant. And then in regards to, I also had taken it, and I don't know if she prompted us, there was something where we were also supposed to relate it to our element. So my other note was release the words to the wind. to transmute. And
I love that.
So I remember walking through, and I think in order to become gold, I needed to use my element to become gold. And it was release the words to the wind to transmute. And I do remember this happening. It was very, very still. And when we had stood in our directions, I remember thinking, well, wind is supposed to blow, and this is going to be magic right now. Wind's going to blow, and it hadn't really. When we were walking the entire way out, the leaves, and it was like a beautiful day, started rustling, like warm wind blew, and it was so beautiful. And I was like, oh, thank you, wind. That's for me. And I remember feeling very one. So yeah, and I kept saying, release the words to the wind to transmute.
Oh, it's so good. I like that.
What did you take?
So same with like trying to connect to your direction, to your element.
Okay.
So sun and fire. And when I came out of it, and the same thing, I felt like the sun on my skin. And you also know me that I have a hat on at all times. I have very high SPF on.
She actually looks white, like a ghost.
I'm very much.
You could see her sunscreen when she does sunscreen.
You know, I have like red hair. I do. I use the zinc now because I'm so afraid of, God forbid, you use regular sunscreen. It's like so terrible for you, all these things. So yeah, I have like zinc on my face. It's very white. And so I rarely really allow access to like the sun touching my skin. But this time I still had sunscreen on, but I think I might have taken my hat off. And like I felt the sun like giving me life. And when I came out, I had just like 4 words had started like kind of repeating. And I had listen, feel, release, believe. And those were like 4 things that came to me after. And like whether that answers the gold version of me, I don't know, but it was like what the message I had received. I felt like the sun had given it to me. I loved it.
I'm going to, because I'm just going to finish with what I wrote. I remember, so we've taken to journaling after we do these things, especially if we're not going to like talk about it right away. So you and I both journaled a little bit, and sorry that we didn't record the sooner to it. So we're trying to jog our memory, but this was my takeaway that I'm happy to read out loud right now. I have purpose and care with my words. Words have meaning. Words cast intention. Words cause ripples. Positive or negative, I would like to affect change in my life with positive talk. That was my takeaway.
That's so good.
Isn't that
good?
I
love that.
I don't know if I did it after I left.
No, you did, but even having it, you just did it right now by putting out in the world. All
right, and I'm thank you for letting me talk about this, because this is reaffirming that desire. And I remember thinking, I really need to think about what comes out of my mouth.
Well, and just to like, again, to go unicorn status and like remind people of how like, kind of like how far we're going. I'm now feeling guilty because we didn't read our prayer we created. We created a prayer we're supposed to say before the podcast to make it go, and we'll do it after. But like it's so funny because without even really realizing, we have put words to our intentions in a positive way to make sure that what we're saying comes across in the right light to people.
That's right.
So I have a whole new thought process, fondness for Labyrinth. So now even I go to a shopping plaza and see one, they're in parks, they're everywhere. Like I felt like I really gained a lot from the experience, and just knowing that, again, this goes back. I love things that have like ritual and have history to them, and to think that, 3,000 years ago, people were going through labyrinths to connect spiritually and to basically go into themselves. I loved it. And a takeaway that I want to share too is that now that we know what these directions mean, if you're feeling like drawn to one of them, and again, it can be done intuitively. If you want to meditate, you can face the direction of these. You can face the direction to get more like power from it. You can just ask for help from the directions. And so like these elements are there for us. And now that I know like what they are and what they're there for and what they do, I think that's really neat to like give more purpose to them and take advantage of them more.
Gosh, I love that. And you want to know what? It's so funny. And I forgot I did this and I didn't share it with you. So I have my one meditating spot in my house. After that, I was wondering, I wonder what position I sit in every day when I meditate. And on my phone, after I was done meditating, I pulled up the compass app to be like, where am I? And I thought it was kind of cool. I am exactly north. Where my body faces is exactly north. I'm not like 2 degrees to any other direction. So I am directly in the middle of a north, south, east, west with my face facing north.
That is so interesting. How ironic, which again, you've never been drawn to it, but knowing this all this time.
Isn't that cool? And follow up, and also the terminology to face your true north is just a term in the world, even non-woo-woo, is when you're facing true north is your true alignment, your true self. How cool is that?
So cool.
So something with directions and these elements, and let's go further with this one day, because I know the elements are huge in magic and witchery and shamanism. Yeah. Basically in everything connecting to these elements and the directions is something that's a real tool. It's a modality.
It is, yes, it's another one. It's another one.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. It was awesome.
Like the show? We'd love your support. Right now, we're doing an awesome giveaway. Leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Screenshot the review and send it to hello@soguided.com or DM us on Instagram at SoGuidedPodcast. You'll be entered to win a basket of our favorite woo-woo goodies, crystals, cacao, and all the high-vibe goodies we love. Thank you for listening. We've loved being your spiritual travel guides and hope this made you feel more connected. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast player. Your reviews help us create the guide that you are looking for. We'd also love to hear your stories. You could follow and share your experiences with us on Instagram at SoGuidedPodcast. Your story might just be our next weekly woo-woo. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the universe. And remember, stay curious, ask the questions. You are so guided.